The Whine and Cheese Show is a Metaverse and NFT discussion and interview series brought to you by Metaverse Ventures Entertainment and host BEN68 and Morecheeese. Warning: the information and opinions within are solely the views of the individuals involved and contains content not suitable for anyone.
G'day and welcome to Season 1, Episode 34 of the Whine and Cheese in the Metaverses Show.
Today we talked to Thegoldsmith about how he got into Upland, his show with Uplando, Cars, Genesis Week, and maybe something down the road of his own. Fingers crossed.
So if, like Cheese and I, you love gold, then get ready for an in-depth meat and potatoes episode of
The worst show ever.
Whine and Cheese. Time for Whine and Cheese. Whine and Cheese. Time for Whine and Cheese. Cheese. One is a wanker, one's slinging stunts. One's from Australia, one's from the Bronx. Talking about the Metaverse and NFTs. Interviewing all the real crypto G's.
Hello and welcome to the Whine and Cheese in the Metaverses show. This is episode 34 and we have the Goldsmith as our guest.
yes.
Goldsmith, say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Sounding very ominous.
Yeah, so we're going to be finding out more about you and then talking some Upland stuff because that's what you do. But we got some really cool news in the Twitterverse, Ben, from our friend Jazz.
We do. Oh, I just want to touch on first that it's episode 34, which is halfway to a very special number. So
very, very special. Should we make that the challenge?
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah.
I don't have to do any work later on.
If you guys can't do this,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
What the hell am I talking about, sickos? Why is episode 34 halfway to a special number? There you go. That's the challenge. I'm loving this. I'm not having to do all that back end stuff.
I know.
Throw it in whenever.
We don't have to do an extra sickos recording.
Nice. All right. Jazzy Jazz. We had, now you give me the heads up on this before. Pretty cool news. Our friend Jazz, Half Moon Craft, she is now officially whitelisted on Atomic Hub.
And to celebrate, she's launching a series of one-of-one NFTs with redeemable jewelry elements starting next Wednesday. That is so awesome.
Yes. So as we talked about with her, I hope you're ready because, you know, things like this are going to be pretty popular, I think, once the word gets out. So she'll be a busy little silversmith. We got the goldsmith on and she's the silversmith. So
the goldsmith and the silversmith. I like it. And I just started working on her NFT. I had to see what takes me a while is I watch through the show and then I remember what we want to do because you know my memory, it's really bad. And then I look for spots where I could just pause it and take like a quick screenshot, and then that'll be my picture to go by.
Your muse.
My muse.
Her ears must be burning because she just tagged me on Twitter. I said congratulations to her before, and she just said thanks, Ben. So that's
Aww.
We're talking about your Jazz. If your ears are burning, that's
Jazzy
why.
Jazz.
So yeah, if you haven't checked her stuff out yet, that's at Half Moon Craft on Twitter.
And check out her Whine and Cheese episode,
which was episode 32.
Yeah.
Yes, 32.
Finishing each other's sandwiches, Ben.
Yes. Well, I don't share sandwiches. So my kids know that. Stay away from my sandwiches.
Sandwich? Why? What?
I'm like evil and shit.
Oh, I was quoting Frozen. He was like, we even finish each other's, and she goes, sandwiches instead of sentences. Moving on.
Nightmares. I'm a kindergarten teacher. Frozen gives me nightmares.
Oh.
So I make up my own words. Whenever the girls want to play that, I sing, pick your nose, rub it all over your clothes. They hate it, so I love it.
I would have loved that as a kid. Oh.
Alrighty. Other things, or was it last week? I don't know. Whenever it was that we talked about it was the the Formula One NFTs that were coming out
yes.
that were tied to the real stuff. So we had Forever Dream,
pretty.
which was Lewis Hamilton's rear wing. So you were going to win the 1-of-1 NFT plus the actual rear wing from the Miami race. Sky Rising, which was George Russell's, and the Intersection of Dreams and Reality, which was a full replica Formula One car decked out in the graphics. And now the Lewis and George rear wings, the auction ends in 2 hours. Ooh. And I was surprised that 37 and 35 Ethereum. So you're talking what, 70,000 US dollars at the current crash and burn crypto prices.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a chunk of change, but honestly, I thought they'd go for more than that.
Because crypto's lower, or?
No, I don't know. I just think there's so many mega wealthy Formula One fans out there.
Because you actually get the rear wing too. That was the point,
actual,
right?
Yeah, the actual physical wing. And you know, I said in the show when we first brought it up, the cost of a rear wing would be just the cost alone in the carbon fiber and all the components, and that would be astronomical. So
maybe they're waiting for the very last minute so they don't get outbid.
Maybe. Well, maybe I'll leave that up and check in at the end of towards the end of the show. So
do that.
It triples in like 7 seconds. The last 7 seconds it triples.
Could do like the old when I was a student, I used to buy my books on eBay, my textbooks and stuff. It was always the last 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the actual car, that's still got 7 days left on that one. That the current bid on that's only 15 Ethereum. So
yeah, they're waiting.
I'm gonna keep an eye on that one as well. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Speaking of crypto,
dun, dun,
there is
dun.
a lot of doom and gloom around at the moment. Now, I'm not going to dive into any of these articles specifically. We're just going to have a kind of general overview today. Now, of course, I'm searching this on Google in Australia, so my feed is very Australian based, but the first headline, crypto's unthinkable rise from the dead. But how many times has that been said? I just laugh at this shit. That's just hilarious.
Well, I don't know. I find it funny that everyone is going super psycho about it. Like, the only way something like this would happen is people kind of manipulating, and I'm sure they're doing it just until they can kind of get in. I'm more than positive it's going to go right back up, just like when this happened a couple of years ago with crypto.
Yeah, I say to people all the time, scroll out, mate. You're freaking out about the charts, scroll out. That's not to say that there won't be projects that crash and burn and die.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of manipulation, this was a beauty. Evil genius may have caused Terra and Luna cryptocurrencies to crash in a death spiral. Now, this was it made it onto the mainstream network news in Australia in the financial segment. And there was an expert what had happened. And yeah, you know, I've been in crypto for a while now, and I was kind of not struggling, but you know, I had to concentrate to work out what had actually happened because I hadn't really read into anything myself. But you know, my wife was just going straight over the top of her head. She's like, "What the hell was all that about?" But, yeah, just some smart people doing some smart things.
Well, you know, you go below your reserve capital, and they start, and it just, you know, you don't have the reserve capital to hold your stable coin at a stable rate anymore, and then you just have to fire sale all of your assets. I mean, that's just how it works, you know. that is how a stable coin unravels.
Jeez.
So it's been, I don't know what it's like in the States, but in Australia, in a lot of the like crypto Facebook groups, everyone has been piling on to Luna, like dropping $1,000 on it or whatever they can afford, 100 when the prices were crazy low. A couple of the exchanges here actually delisted it because I guess they're just minimizing their risk as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it rebounds from the dead.
Yeah, I've been getting a bunch of Matic.
Yeah, I'll hold off on what I've been stacking on for a while, but yeah. Watch it burn. Crypto wiped in horror crash. Turmoil and panic in crypto market as stablecoin slump prompts wider collapse.
Oh my
Wow.
God. People are going to hate us.
Well, it's a. I think voices like ours with an alternative, opinion and view are important because it's a dose of reality for people. I mean, if we oh, sorry, Goldie, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you've heard my pitch on crypto, right? Crypto is worth nothing except for what people want it to be worth, as far as it's a purely speculative. So I don't think that anybody wants it to be worth zero, so it's not going to be worth zero. But you can see these, you can watch wax go up to $1 and then have it come back down to 8 cents, because that's where people are speculating, buying it in and selling it out. It's
Absolutely.
It's not worth $1, but because I could buy a bunch of wax at 8 cents, I could turn around before anybody else realized what they had done in the wax market and go buy all those things that were priced at 30 wax. When they thought they were going to get $15 for it, and be like, I scooped up for $5. So
Yep.
that's what happens when you have a coin that's traded, and that's what we don't see with Upland, obviously.
Yes,
absolutely, and we'll definitely dive into that a bit more further on in the show. But yeah, I've brought up the wax price here as a prime example, and now I'm using wax because it's something that I actually use. And Cheese, what did you say? You're buying Matic? Yeah, well, I'm only at the moment. I'm only buying crypto that I actually use. So, I'm buying EOS, wax, Bitcoin, Solana.
Well, remember, I do sell very rarely on OpenSea, and I do use Polygon.
Yes, cool. Now, we should check too. Cheese, are you a financial advisor?
No.
No, neither am I. Goldie, are you a financial advisor?
I am not a legal financial advisor.
There we go. So we got that out of the road. Now, take all this with a grain of salt, obviously. Now, Cheese, I've been praying for blood like this for years and waiting and waiting. I've been tethered, waiting patiently, and I've only just started buying crypto now. I actually, before this show went live, I went to my main onboarding account where I go from Australian dollars into the ecosystem. The last time I purchased any crypto was 25th of August, 2019.
Oh, wow. All right.
So that's nearly 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's nearly 3 years since I bought any crypto. So, I was buying wax way back here at, I don't know, it's fractions of a penny over here, way back in, mid 2019. And I remember when this we thought this was a crash where it, the chart went down here and then it kind of plateaued, and we thought, oh, it's not going to come back from here. You scroll to the right, and yeah, as Goldie said, it's rocketed way up past $1, and then it's come crashing back down again. And the last week or so, we've got a series of big fat red candles. But if you're on the right side of things, this is exactly what I've been waiting for.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it happens. It's going to go back up.
But that cheap wax, at that moment of the cheap wax, before people can reprice stuff, I mean, you're buying it on 25 cents of the dollar on what they intended to sell it for. Which again, it's just like, I'm sorry that this is happening to you, but at the same time, I wouldn't have bought that at 4 times the price, but I'll buy it at a quarter the price.
Yeah, well, I didn't buy wax, but I've traded for wax when it was up high because I wanted to buy NFTs and stuff. This is one of those coins where, yeah, I've set my automatic daily dollar cost averaging buys. I will run that. I'll let those sit there until we climb all the way back up to, what do we got here? Probably about the 35-cent mark.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll let those daily dollar cost averaging buys just run every day, just little by little, until we get up to that 35-cent mark. Then I'll reevaluate. I might take a pause for a week or two and see what happens. If we go down, I'll start those off again. If we start to rise, I'll just let it sit and see what happens. It's just, you can't make decisions on panic. It's just,
yeah, But that's the
just gonna
stock
wreck yourself.
market, and that's what makes me like have a living. Because
blood on the streets. Buy.
You know how I do. I
Yeah.
sell contracts, so I make money by stuff going down. Except for crypto, of course. But I need stuff to go down.
It's just very interesting. And a lot of people panic selling. I mean, unless you got to pay the rent or something with your crypto, then, well, what are you freaking out about? And if you do have to pay your rent with crypto, well, you've gone into that invested more than you're willing to lose situation.
Exactly.
Everyone says that. Very few people actually live by it.
Exactly. Because when I started, I actually started very young, and I've got a book. I need to remember the name, but it said, don't invest until you have about 3 months of your salary saved in the bank, and then start using money after that to go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of hilarious. But yeah, like I said, that's a bit of perspective. I've literally sat on the sidelines for near 3 years, and that goes to Upland as well. It's all about being patient. That's the biggest lesson to learn. And don't get me wrong, I've made every financial mistake you can possibly make in crypto. I've lost squillions in ICOs and all the rest of it, and got myself into all sorts of trouble, tax situations, and dug myself out. And that's but a little bit of patience. And yeah, scroll back, people. Scroll back in the charts.
It'll get
Now
better.
that kind of general panic, I assume that would have kicked over to the NFT side of things as well, which it kind of has a little bit, but it doesn't appear to be any more so than normal. Like headlines here: NFT scams, toxic minds, and lost life savings. The cryptocurrency dream is fading fast. I mean, that's just that's a run of the mill FUD piece.
But there's probably so many bank lobbyists that don't want cryptocurrency to succeed, and likewise for NFTs. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are things out there that should be regulated, but like I said before, I kind of like the Wild West.
Yeah, and it goes back to that analogy we always refer to, like when the first cars came out and were driving on the roads, and the people in their horses and buggies would have been shaking their fists. Well, imagine the first car crashed into the wall and somebody died. Everyone in their horses would have said, "See, I told you. Bloody dangerous, that shit."
How many people have been kicked in the head by their horse?
Exactly. It's There's how many people have lost their life savings through mortgage defaults, or the traditional financial sector too. So
how many people are losing their crap right now with their 401ks are tanking every single day?
Yeah. So,
last 3 months.
Yeah, a bit of perspective. And then the next article is interesting. Why the powerful forces that run faltering NFT markets won't let prices crash just yet. So that's kind of insinuating a bit of manipulation. But then after that, it's all pretty good. Instagram begins to let users post NFTs. Madonna and Beeple link up for NFT project.
Wait a second. Go back up.
Oh, you want to look at that too?
Reveals fully nude NFTs and a 3D model of her vagina.
Yeah, so you saw that too, Cheese.
Yeah, I
didn't even see that.
I didn't even hear what Ben was saying.
I was reading. I'm like, why are you scrolling, Ben? Why are you scrolling?
Why would you want to put out a 3D model of your vagina unless it wasn't her that did it?
Well, that's not Madonna there if they're using that. That's
not Madonna.
Well, this is probably locked.
Oh, so they're not 3D models. They're not fully nude NFTs of her. They're fully nude NFTs of models. Is that what we're seeing?
No, it says of her, because she's called Madge, giving birth to trees, butterflies, and other insects. What the?
Each their own.
Here we go. Can you see the video playing? Madonna is no longer a virgin to the NFT market. What the hell?
Is that her? That doesn't look like her.
No,
it's an animation.
It's like a 3D.
Yeah, it's a rendering. It's a rendering, and it's not a very accurate one.
Done by Beeple.
Like she could have really, like, if this looked more like her.
Got a
tree
Madonna. Coming out of a hoochie coochie.
I get the point she's making, but you know, she could have done it differently. She could have
I
done
just
better
wanted
artists.
it. I wanted it to be her face, like the body, whatever. It would have been really cool if it looked more like her.
God, I gotta get out of this. This is gonna kill my computer. But yeah, it says Madonna has jumped on the NFT bandwagon, teaming up with digital artist people to create a very not safe for work collection, which depicts a fully nude Madge giving birth to trees, butterflies, and other insects.
You know what? I'm for it. It's exciting to see her name again.
Yeah.
I was a big Madonna fan. This is weird. I like weird.
Oh, I still am.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Cheese? You're not more of a fan now? I mean,
I'm more of a fan now. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I just wish it looked more like her.
Yeah, but the names in the NFT market don't get much bigger than Beeple, so teaming up with him's pretty cool. And he has all sorts of wild stuff, like some of the ones he did, you know, lampooning Trump and all the rest of it are just hilarious. So that's kind of his style, so it makes sense that those two team up. So yeah, how did I scroll past that? Gosh.
Go back up.
Oh gosh, yeah, I was right there with you, Cheese. I was reading. I was like, wait a minute, where's he going?
I need to see Madonna's 3D like vagina.
Yeah, and after that, it's all pretty good. All the articles are pretty safe. How the NFTs have the potential to transform industries. Ethereum NFT prices bounce back. Animoca Brands plans to add education to its multi-billion-dollar NFT and gaming business.
Ooh,
Yeah.
anything Animoca makes me smile big.
Yeah, so, and the same kind of can be said for the Metaverse news. Although this is a funny one, BBC. Apple iPod creator warns the Metaverse will encourage trolls.
Whoa.
Wow, welcome to the
Trolls
Metaverse.
are gonna troll.
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, come on. Trolls are everywhere. They're just bullies. Bullies are in real life too. It's
exactly
pretty dumb. Yeah, and you know, I was expecting with the crypto FUD that's around, I was expecting that to bleed right through, but seems to be pretty smooth sailing.
I mean, I think there is a decent separation between the metaverse, you know, structure and building, at least as far as the media is concerned. Metaverse building and structure as opposed to DeFi games. I mean, there's a little. I mean, even though some of them do bleed over, obviously Upland being one of them. You know, they are treating metaverses a little different than they're treating like DeFi and crypto.
Remember when I was saying that Decentraland Gala and other stuff was going down and Upland was the only one kind of stable? Well, look, they just bounced 35%, which is cool.
Yeah, and that goes back to Goldsmith's point that if people have invested in that, they don't want it to crash. So, you know, the economy kind of props itself up almost. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And we already covered that one last week. New metaverse technology allows you to kiss and feel. NASA partners with Epic Games to create a Martian metaverse simulation.
Oh, that would be so cool.
So yeah, it's pretty good news in the old NFT and crypto and metaverse markets.
Like, I would love to have a true MMORPG metaverse world, like the games that we're used to playing. I know when WoW came out, Anarchy Online was right there with it, and it wasn't fantasy. It was more like space and nanotechnology and this and that, and that was back in 2003. And to be able to have a metaverse like that and then go on like these group like killing sprees, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm a mobile Twitch gamer, so I want something that I can play fast, you know, like give me Space Invaders or one of those Happy Jump games or something that I can just play here, there, and everywhere. The the crypto versions of those that are about are just, they're so bad.
Yeah,
at the moment.
They are bad. They'll get there though. I think they'll get there.
So Cheese, are you saying that what you really want is you want a DeFi game where you can steal from people? Is that what I'm hearing?
Steal
yes. Their NFTs and yeah.
That's a huge part of the MMORPG is like you steal from other people. You go and loot from them.
PvP. I'm more of a PvE gal. Like I'm more like, let's get into a team and do like a mission together and get the boss and get the loot, the end boss loot and stuff like that. Leroy Jenkins.
But then
I'm just looking for a game I can play for 2 minutes while I'm doing a shit.
the 5-minute player, 5-minute toilet player. Yeah.
You that golf game of yours, if that ever became NFT thing.
You know what's so funny is that team, like I've been loosely tied up with that development team for, gosh, when did I move to Japan? I don't even know. Probably over a decade. This is kind of how I got into all of this stuff, was because I used to run fan forums and I used to run online tournaments and all sorts of stuff. And I supported those guys as far as beta testing different things and whatnot. They were very hardcore against NFTs when it kind of first came out, but the game lends it perfectly to NFTs.
Yeah.
There's all of these, you collect hats and different skins, and that's entirely what the game is. So it'd be interesting. I haven't kind of kept up with them as far as the details go. I just play that one game basically. It'd be interesting if they've changed their mindset as the whole NFT space has matured. But yeah, going back in the day, they were hardcore against it, like to the point of pointing fingers and laughing.
Well, I mean, I guess that's with every new thing that comes about. Like,
yeah, but
I was very reluctant.
They've got a really popular game called Bitcoin Billionaire, which you just sit there pushing the screen and earning fake Bitcoin so you can upgrade your stuff. Yeah, they're a weird one. So check it out. Shout out to Noodle Cake Studios. Saskatoon.
So you're saying that the whole point of the game is to like simulate Bitcoin, but except, oh my God, it's not a DeFi game, so there actually is no earning.
Wow.
Yep.
Love it.
That's a quite an old game.
Oh yeah. God.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. But I think that's a case of that they're one of those studios that if they don't start heading into the space, they're going to be forced into it, because this is what the consumer base is. More and more they're going to start demanding. Like my kid who we've interviewed on here, Keanu, he's all about like playing these sorts of games, and he's asking me, when am I going to be able to earn NFTs or stuff on these games? I'm like, I don't know, mate, but if you keep asking those questions, sooner rather than later. So
he has his own NFT already about him, and he can't even.
Yeah, well, he wants to earn, he wants to earn and trade. He's all about trade and his Pokemon cards and all the rest of it. So we shall see.
That's so
now,
cool.
all of that FUD and stuff in the crypto markets has bled over kind of at the same time that some interesting things have been happening in the Upland markets. Now, we had this kickoff in the UDU team meeting, not the team meeting, in the UDU's Discord server. And we kind of had a bit of backwards and forwards. I won't get into the specifics of that, other than just because it mostly referred to these market graphs. And probably Goldsmith, you're probably the best person to chime in on this too, because your finger is on the pulse in the Upland Cafe. Cheese kind of jumps in there pretty regularly, but I'm hardly ever in there. So I kind of only see things from the UDU team perspective. But what we've got here, if you're listening on the Spotify, is we have is that the daily transaction volume? Yeah, daily transaction volume of UPEX from January 1st to present. And we got a trend line going from a bit over 260 million UPEX down at the moment. We're down in the 60s, I think. 69, 70, yeah, around that. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, you know how to overlay that with you know, when we get the release of the city, and then when we get collection reveals. I mean, you watch those spikes, that's exactly what those spikes tend to be. And then you get, and then whenever they run these little mini contests, I mean, you can see the spikes following those mini contests. We have this phenomenon. If you look at it real carefully, there's the Friday phenomenon, right? Because people actually do put money in the game, and when they put money in the game, you do see those bumps pop up as well. But overall, I mean, we had some big news yesterday. I don't know what, I'm sure we'll get into it, but we had some big news, you know, yesterday, and now people are going, I better save up. So people might be trying to sell to get, you know, to stack that pile of UPIX, but you might also have people hesitant to spend UPIX because, you know, they don't they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're not the ones with a pile of UPIX coming up in a month.
Absolutely. What about you, Cheesy?
I think the market is stabilizing. I think when we're not supposed to have a great market all the time, 100%. There's supposed to be a buyer's market and there's supposed to be a seller's market. And this is a buyer's market. And to me, the graph looks like it's stabilizing. I wouldn't, like, if you have great times all the time, the economy is going to go so far out of whack. Like, you look back at the 50s and you're like, oh, I used to go to the movies for a nickel. And then you look at now and it's like $20 to go to the movies. Like, I don't want this to go crazy like that just yet. Maybe when we go international, maybe when we have rent, like utility, maybe when we have the cars in here and more meta ventures, then I want it. I want people to come into the game still and see that, you know, the economy is still going nice and straight, just like it should be. Like, I do like the selling times, and I do think they're important, and you do see them in this graph. It's not just very boring and straight line. We have our ups and downs. I think it's just stabilizing.
And I mean, I think we've got one other factor here too, is when you saw the collection swaps, you know, go away as a mechanic, that injection of UPIX every time we get into a city release, that's not going to be there anymore. That used to be a big thing. You see a bump in activity right before a collection release all the time.
Absolutely. Now, I'm assuming you can't see my screen. You're still on the chart screen?
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah. Well, maybe could you just give us an overview of what that was all about, Goldie, while I get myself organized?
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, the collection swaps in and of itself was a mechanic that kind of got built very clearly and closely to what the game had for that one-time collection. And, you know, they did not expect, I don't believe, even though they expected people to trade amongst each other, the overall professionalism of it, the fact that people were building servers, encouraging brand new players to come and do collection swaps just for the sake of getting those 50-50 swaps. And there was a lot more swaps than I believe the anticipation of the market was, you know, that people were making, people who held us, you know, a number of rares and ultra rares were making 1 million UPIX a day in some cases. That was not it. I don't think that was an intent of the game. And the other thing was, it's the incentivization to cheat that was there. And we all know cheating is cheating. You know, that's very separate from the people who are following the rules. But it was an incentivization to cheat. So we saw a lot more people spooling up accounts to do those collection swaps, make 1 million UPIX, literally 1 million UPIX in that collection account. That's fake. You know, again, that they shouldn't have had a second account. They bounced stuff between the 3 or 4 different accounts. And now they're taking that back into the market, buying properties and cashing out. So that was a huge factor. And now that that's gone, there's still going to be some market corrections. We're going to see the values of our collections right size themselves a little bit. And that's already been happening.
Yeah, for sure. And part of that was what was brought up in our Discord server was you know, it's hard to move collection properties nowadays. Like, the prices have plummeted, and like, I won't name names, but I'll give an overview of what I said. And that was like, why should any collection property sell for above the collection multiplier? You know?
Oh, that's my point. I make it every freaking day.
That was always propped up by people making huge bank on the back end. through collection swapping, but that's not a realistic market economy.
The only way your collection is ever worth more than mint times multiplier is that it factor. Just like, you know, I've got multiple neighborhoods that are worth 4, 5, 6x mint, because that's what that's what, without a collection multiplier, people have decided they're worth more than, you know. And again, you can talk about, you know, any neighborhood that's like that, any node property. People decide it's worth more than the dividends, and they stop caring about dividends, which is fine. But if we're talking about a collection being special because of that multiplier, that ultimately is your floor, mint times multiplier. And then you can start adding in, oh my gosh, this is the street where blank happened. And then people can start putting more extra value on it.
Exactly. Yep. Something just happened in my Upland. It just updated and said Genesis Hackathon. This makes me feel really freaking good. So the metaverse is what you make of it, it says. As part of Genesis Week, Upland is hosting its first ever hackathon, where teams will be asked to create the next great Web 3.0 experience in Upland for a chance to win a $50,000 grant. Cool. We are also hosting a Genesis Week design challenge for the creators to design an NFT to be shared with the Upland community. The winner of this challenge will earn the sale proceeds. Both contests start May 31st, my birthday.
Nice.
So mark your calendars, click below to register. And this is what I was saying in the Discord. Like, there's so much cool shit that's coming up. Like, we have the Genesis Week right around the corner. They're gonna be announcing crazy stuff. We're gonna, like, I'm reading in between the lines here where they're gonna do a live opening, and then they're going to announce the next city. If you read exactly what it says everyone that attends in person will get a property in the next announced city. So imagine if that, crossing my fingers, I don't know for sure, speculation, imagine if that's international, you know.
I thought that meant the one that they're releasing as part of the event.
Well, they said the city that's coming out live and the next one. Read it back, because it's written funny, but they've done that before where they corrected themselves though.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was going to say.
Speculation.
They're not the best at doing accurate terminology, so I wouldn't put too much value into that.
I take it with a grain of salt, but I'm still going to think of it 50-50. You know, I'm going to still be 50% excited for it.
Very cool.
You know, and then, like, what if they start announcing STEM? What if, like, this is such a big platform, like their year, like their anniversary, why not just get it all out there? People people are showing some new adverts that they have out for Queens.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I said in the UCN channel, I was like, if it's not Las Vegas, then that's just a huge missed marketing opportunity. And like, if it's some extension of, I don't know, it's an extension of San Francisco or something, maybe that would be awesome. Like if they extended San Francisco down to the south, that might be as equally awesome. But if it's just some rando city, I don't know that that would have the same awesomeness as if they did the live city release in the city that they're in when they're doing the event. So I don't know. Be interesting to see.
Do you want me to drop that piece of speculation, or you want to come back to it about what was said yesterday in the URL?
No, go for it.
So in the URL yesterday, and we can take top to bottom on that if you want to touch it. But
so that's the Upland Racing League thing with DAC. Yep.
Yeah. So DAC had this thing, and again, we can debate whether or not the official channels should be used when this type of information comes out for the first time. But DAC did the right thing. He went to the right people in the official team. He said, I would love to have a conversation with whoever. He made that relationship, that reach out. He proved himself. I guess, he's proved himself by the things he's done in the past as well. But he proved himself.
And he copped a lot of shit for which Cheese can attest to.
I'll go into the aftermath. You want to go in the aftermath? But he definitely did that foundation with, hey, this is what I'd like to do. This is who I am. What can you guys do with me, for me, whatever? And Then he went ahead and got that relationship with somebody who's actually the head of that development team. I'm going to get his title wrong, but he's either the project manager or the head of that project or whatever for cars. So he got the best person he probably could in dev, best person to come in and talk. And during that talk, the one big thing that came out from it, and again, this is just speculation, but was the words that came out was the first race is intended to be as of right now, may change, is intended to be in San Jose. San Jose is not yet a minted city.
There you go.
But it's right outside Santa Clara, but it's not yet minted.
Nice.
That's exciting. Like, this is kind of off topic, but on topic. Where is it? There is a racetrack that people are kind of around. It is in, name some places, guys.
Are we talking about player created racetracks?
No, like a real one.
Okay. Well, there's one in Detroit.
Nashville.
Oh, there's one in Nashville.
There's an actual racetrack, and it shows it really big. And people were speculating about it. I purchased some stuff around it, and it's a Nashville Fairground Speedway. Like, I wonder if stuff like that would be turned into like a track for Upland, like something that's already there.
It's possible. What the team has told us as of right now, and again, this was part of that conversation, right? As well, with having Jeremy there. And you didn't make it, Cheese, or were you elsewhere?
I didn't. I was so busy.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to get on the computer until after my trading is done. So that's 12. I have to start kind of looking in incognito. Discord is very tempting. So I have to start looking in more often than not. Like, that would have been something I really would have wanted to be,
Yeah, that was before you take that break for your day. I know what time you take your break. So that was definitely before you take your break for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. So part of that was coming out was these races as they're coming through anticipated is going to be an overlay of our map as we have it. So it's going to be like this street, and then you come around this corner, and then you come around this corner and this corner, and you're going to be able to kind of see how that comes out of Upland as we know it. And in theory, and again, we may see this right up front, and we may not look perfect up front. It's going to be an overlay of our map as we have it. That includes the buildings that we've constructed over time. Showing different properties, though. This is a property, this is a property, this is property. These are all separate properties owned by separate people. I don't know if the blue and green is going to be there so that we can see which ones are for sale and which ones aren't as we crash into them coming around the corner. but in theory, it's going to be a representation of the map that you and I have grown used to over the last year or a couple years here, anyways.
That's cool. I like that. Now, did they mention anything about having to own all the properties along the racetrack?
And that was an interesting thing because they only have so many details, and Jeremy was pretty good about putting a line in the sand and saying, I can tell you what I can tell you. I can't tell you what I can't tell you, especially for things that aren't completed yet and figured out all the way. But it sounds like you're going to be able to register your racetrack. There may be a fee involved. So like, I'm going to say, hey, I want to draw a racetrack, and the fee might be big enough that you might have to make an organization or have some kind of real commitment to make it. Yeah. And then they let you draw the racetrack. I don't know if you have to fill out an application or what the case is. You draw the racetrack, you register it. Here's my racetrack. This is how it's driven, and this is the direction it goes. And then you can set that as a private or a public. You don't have to own every single property along it, because that would be cool if that was a restriction, but that would be a pretty big restriction. But again, you would be able to draw on it. It would make nodes a thing. It would make nodes a thing for sure. You'd have 15 people and they'd all register a track together, and it would only be that node would be able to race on it. Maybe, I don't know, But yeah, for sure. But here's the thing where nodes are a thing is you can make those private. So if you make that private, only people in your node get to race on that node track.
Or people that like pay a fee.
Or exactly. So you've got your node, and everybody who's in your node can now be a part of your racetrack. They can, anyone who's part of your node for free. You just let them in, and anybody else who wants to come in, they have to pay a fee to come in. Now your node is a real thing. Now now everybody wants to be in your node for free racing, but if they're not in your node, they're gonna enjoy it because your node community enjoys it.
Yeah.
And I've just brought up the tweet I put out last night. So I put a tweet out that showed the Midtown Terrace 100 circuit, or as we refer to, the alien cock 100.
Oh my
God.
Penis, Ben, penis.
Yeah. I'm Australian. We don't say penis.
There's no penises in Australia. Come on.
So yeah, so this is a prime example. Now this all came together because of, Dak. He went right out there, and I was one of the people who were kind of skeptical of it at the start too. So I'll take my lumps for that as well. I was like, Dak, you're getting way ahead of yourself here, mate. You're diving headfirst into speculation, but fair credit to him. Yeah, as he said, he put in the work. He got in contact with the right people, and obviously that would have went through the official Upland channels to all get approved and all that sort of stuff. So awesome stuff, Dak. But yeah, this is an example of what's possible in a node. Like Midtown Terrace is the Genesis node, the first node. It's the most built place in San Francisco by a country mile. And yeah, I can't wait to do races along here. As far as you have to own the properties to be able to build the track, there's not many places on the map that would be possible. So yeah, I can't see that being a thing.
East Shore. Yeah. No, I mean, I've got an area that I'm trying to get as much of the ownership of it as possible. But yeah, I mean, it is. I don't think they're going to do that at all, Ben. I don't think it's going to be you have to own it. But it's like you draw it on the map. You got to pay a certain fee to register it. Maybe there is exclusivity. Maybe the first come first serve. Maybe if you register your track, nobody can come and register one that's exactly the same, just like yours. Maybe they do something like that. But I could definitely see two tracks being drawn on similar roads in similar areas for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's going to play into that whole rental mechanic too, hopefully. Hopefully that's part of it, where if you want to be involved, maybe you have to, if you can't own a property in that area, maybe you have to have a rental property there, or who knows. But.
Oh, for sure. And that's when she says you have to pay an admission. Well, that's your admission, is you got to rent one of these apartments.
So yeah, it's all heading in a very interesting space.
Yes, extremely interesting.
And that's kind of the main point. There's one more point I wanted to touch on before we, what do you say, Cheese? Pour ourselves a what?
Pour ourselves a nice hot cup of Goldie.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So we had a look at that first chart. Now, this chart was brought up as well in our chats, where this is the daily trading volume, and it also has the number of swaps. And, it's just dropped off a cliff. And I brought up in our chat that this has to be purely a result of the team nerfing collection swappings.
Oh, look at them swaps down there. Yeah. I mean, when we talk about swaps, we're literally talking about, property to property for no exchange. 100%. I mean, look at those.
Yeah, it just
beautiful.
Tanks off the cliff. Yeah, that's what I said. I said in the chat that everything to the left of that is the collection swap bubble, and you can see right at the start, like going back, I was one of the first people that was openly running 50-50 collection swaps back in the day, and I copped a hell of a lot of shit from OGs who you look at their blockchain data, they were doing the exact same thing. They just weren't being open and honest about it.
They were closeted.
Closeted swappers. That's right, and this is hilarious. But that was back when the player base was tiny and the risk to reward ratio was tiny. But then, as Goldie has kind of outlined, that it became a professional business where people were cleaning up, and it shows it in here. The player base expanded rapidly and the number of swaps just went through the roof. All of that free UpX that was generated has propped up the collection market, the secondary market. It's propped up the entire economy for, at least the recent history that's outlined in this graph. And it's all fluff.
To be fair, it was only within a handful of people. It wasn't even for the whole community. It was a handful of people swapping out their properties for 50-50. The person got the 50%, and the ones who kept doing it kept getting it over and over and over again. Most of that is
30 players.
People's profits.
Yeah, 30 to 100 players. The top 30 had one set of earnings. The top 100 had another set of earnings. And then if you go down to the 150th biggest guy, he's probably making nowhere near what the 100th biggest guy is, nowhere near what the 30th biggest guy is. So yeah, it was very concentrated among a specific set of people.
I mean, I did a few swaps here and there for new UDU players that were just starting out and needed some money. I didn't go crazy, but I never took any of their UpX. Like, I'm not saying that's wrong. If you're gonna, not be in a community and help somebody out, you're gonna charge them or whatnot. But I did it more like to kind of help the new people get started and whatnot. But yeah, I'm kind of glad it's over with as well. So it's like less of a headache for me too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cheese mentioned earlier on, like there's times for buying and there's times for selling. At the moment, there's not much happening in the secondary markets compared to probably, I don't know, about a month ago. I was just selling like a madman. But I think everything's stabilizing into the new normal. And we get this with the normal cycle. We know the next city's coming. The market always fire sales in preparation for that. People just get themselves, they seem to be constantly on the wrong side of that.
Yeah, it's FOMO, it's panic. Yeah. It's like, I don't know why somebody would sell under mint in LA to go to Detroit. That was very confusing for me. To go from Detroit to Queens, yes, but not from LA to Detroit.
They're falling into the collection speculation trap.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I made a ton on Detroit.
Yeah.
It comes down to individual players for sure, but I made a ton off Detroit.
I mean, I made 3 times. That's like the lowest flips I've ever pretty much got, and it was in Detroit.
I took out double what I brought in, and then I still am holding over $1.5 million in Detroit. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things.
Are you the kind of player that sells prior to the collection release? I know there's a few people that's where they make their bank. If people over speculate, if they lean into that skid,
if that's where they're going. But that's not always what it is. I mean, have you seen what's happening with limited collections with purples? I mean, they are regularly, and they still are, they're regularly selling more than mint times multiplier. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing special about some of these areas. So, but if you want to pay me 3x for a limited, it's all yours.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I've been selling when it's right to sell and just doing nothing when it's not right to sell and just stacking.
Yeah, you're doing amazing. You hit your goal then.
Actually, I'll check. I must be very close this morning. So.
Oh, I'm sure you're there. Oh my God, you're so impressive. This is admirable.
Considering, well, part of it is that I've been playing for so long that I've been through all this period. I've done collection speculation. I've done under mint fire sales. I've got that all out of my system. I've done like crazy FOMO. So part of it's just a maturity thing. Like within the
I can see
itself.
that, like experience in the game.
what
am I? +5. I'm 60K away.
Jesus.
So tomorrow I'll have
I was gonna say that's one day's of collections for you, not even one day of dividends.
About 60K a day. Yeah. So that was my entire 2022 savings goal that I've hit by May, because I've focused on stacking and not panic buying or not going into FOMO collections and all that sort of stuff. So it can be done.
It can be done. It's not easy.
No. I remember back in the day in TML server, I used to do a thing. I had a 5 weeks, save 500K in 5 weeks challenge. And the graph was just hilarious. I'd get up like 300K. And then I think it might have been when Manhattan was still mintable. And somebody, bloody Green Turtle or somebody, would come up with I think this is going to be a collection. So you go over there and then, your account would plummet back to 0. And yeah, it was all up and down, boom and bust. But yeah, I've definitely got that completely out of my system nowadays. Yeah.
Or Ben screaming in Discord, Midtown Terrace, come on, let's get it sold. Let's get it sold. I'm like, who is this nut? Let me go buy some.
and look at it now. Look at it now.
The rest is history, as I say. Yes. That's cool. All right. Well, I think we've touched on all of that, and we've been going for a good while. So let's find out about Goldie. And I said to Cheese this morning before we kicked off, Goldie, I was really interested to talk to you because, I see and hear you around everywhere, but I don't actually know that much about you or your journey into and around Upland. So over to you, Cheese. Set us up.
Pour us a hot cup of Goldie. Who are you? Who are you outside of the metaverse?
Yeah, who are you?
Who are you?
What are you doing here?
I don't know. I think I'm amorphous outside of the metaverse. I mean, I think a lot of people have that reaction is, they come into the metaverse. And again, we talk about someone like Dak who has a, business background outside, and you kind of feel that about him, the way he operates and the way he is. And I kind of come from a little bit of that background too, but I like to feel like I'm amorphous when I come in that I can be what I am inside the Upland community, inside the Upland metaverse. And I don't necessarily have to carry everything that I am outside the metaverse right along with me. And I do come with a business background. So when we talk about economics, I guess I do have some experience as far as watching those things happen in other environments. And, watching things like, people build businesses and over speculate and watching the markets and seeing that in many other environments. So I do bring some of that forward from the real world. It's not just coming from watching Upland and how things have changed over time. But again, I very much, when I come into Upland, I see it as its own environment. So I'm almost like my own version of myself within it.
That's cool. So
are you gonna try to tease more out of me, Cheese, or what?
No,
I'm watching your face. I'm watching your face go like, what's this? Well, I can't deal with this. I can't work with that.
I'm not happy with that. Like
what was your journey into Upland?
I love you, Goldsmith. I love you. But seriously though, like how did you find out about Upland?
Sure. I mean, honestly, when it hit Google Play, I think it was when it first hit Google Play back in, I don't know if it was February about that of 2021. Like they pushed it as new apps. On Google Play, February 2021, about then, February, March 2021, whatever it was, and that was it. And ultimately, Ben can joke about having certain games he goes and uses when he goes to take a shit. The toilet player. That's where it came in. This is a toilet game. Okay, I've got something I could play for 5 minutes at a time. Maybe it's gonna be something at some time. And watching that happen and going into a city, a couple cities, and coming out with double the net worth after a couple of times, it's like, oh shit, this is serious.
So I've got taking a shit game turned into so much more for you. Who is the first person the first friend you really met in the metaverse? Sure.
I mean, I came into the cafe. That was how that worked, right? Because I think a lot of us started out outside of look at that, Ben turned off his camera. A lot of us started out outside of Discord. So, when we came in Discord, it's a totally different play. So I came into Discord, for the sake of being able to come in and see the announcements. I had done that for a while before I even, jumped into the cafe. Keeping in mind, I've been in the game for over a year and a half. Cafe's under a year old. But I don't think I came in at the immediate beginning of the cafe, but very early on was okay, wow, there's a voice channel. Let's see what that's all about. And I think some of the players that were in there early on, I think Cam came into the cafe not too long after about the time I did. We both have been in the game for a long time before we got serious about Discord. So we've got people like that cast of characters. The Cam, the Mossy, the people that everybody, a lot of people know those names, but I did come up with them when these other people who've been in the game for 6 months, 8 months weren't in the game. So that's where we had come from a lot, is being able to interact with those people, and specifically, and again, it's been amazing because we've watched those people grow, doing things that they weren't doing 6 months ago, a year ago, and doing them now.
Absolutely. So we came into this game as a game to play on the toilet, and now we talk a lot of shit.
We talk a lot of shit. I mean, we talk about collection swappers. We talk about those people who decide that it's okay to have 15 accounts. Yeah, we talk a lot of shit. We definitely do.
Talking about talking a lot of shit. Let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
So you are on the Upland show every night in the cafe, right?
Yeah, I think that kind of came about, after we did, and again, that kind of came organically. I knew Upland ahead. I think a lot of us did. Before we did the Cafe Christmas, 12 days of Cafe Christmas, had a project I wanted to do. That project was a spark carrying this idea of putting together, essentially a spark train with new players. And Mossy was actually I don't know if I even cleared this with him, was instrumental in putting together that data. This is before Mossy was Mossy, right? This is before Mossy had any type of, service or in, monetization or anything. So it put together a way to pull together that data so we could show, and him and other people in the data space, because there was a lot of them that worked together. They were able to put together data that said, this is how long these people have left on these builds. Yes, we've identified these people sortable, by what level of status they are in the game. And then again, they've got 0.01 spark total that they own in their holdings. Is like, holy crap. Or, 0.11. They have to have 0.01 to start the small townhouse anyways. So, going ahead and kind of spreading that spirit of not having any communication, not having any incentivization, just this person looks like they might need help, do it, get it done. And again, that was part of my motivation in that. And from that, I think Uplando had offered me, hey, I want you to come on and talk about different markets and all of that. And again, let's be honest, I was talking shit on markets long before Uplando asked me to do it on a show.
True. And you seem to have like a little edge on knowing a few things here and there. I mean, gosh, I really wish I was in that meeting, but going back to the cars, you were talking about it on the Upland Cafe last night about the different cars and the utility that would be having for them. I know we talked about cars and racing, but what about cars and utility?
Sure. I like to draw a difference between, speculation, roadmap, and, what we're given, like what we're getting now. So the stuff that Jeremy gave us was essentially, boom, we got racing. It's in about a month and we're going to have these cars, which is awesome. Those are concrete facts given. Again, deployment and actual launch, these things could change between now and then, but those are facts that were given by a team member. This is what we expect to happen. This is what we anticipate to happen. But we're talking about utility. That's all roadmap items. I mean, we're expecting to have NFTs in cars. We're expecting to take BEs and be able to be like, oh, Jimmy, you don't have a car, but I want to take you over to Tina's. You take Jimmy, you toss him in your car. I mean, he might be okay with it. He might not be. He might have been sleeping. Jam him in your car, drive him across town, throw him out at Tina's. That's all coming. We're going to have that. We're going to have NFTs as essentially storage or transport, moving those across the map. Does that mean that in 6 months, 8 months, we're no longer going to be taking decor items? And please, God, just allow the Upland gods, please allow Ben to have his decor store before snow falls. Just please let it happen.
Well, it's funny you say that, and like it's been well over a year, but we're still not ready to open. Like if Upland said, "Okay, you're ready to open tomorrow," opening tomorrow, we're not ready.
Well, you haven't been given the information early enough. If you knew what you need to know a month ahead, you could work on it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know completely about that.
We're definitely a lot closer than we were a month ago.
Yeah. Oh my God. D-Tech has been going crazy with all these new designs and whatnot. And he's like putting them through, getting like coordinates and this and that. And I don't know. I'm getting excited.
Yeah. Nobody's been more critical or more whiny, hence the Whine and Cheese show, than I have about that. Like for the last, probably 6 months, every platform I could, I've been whinging and moaning and groaning. But maybe, again, it's an account maturity thing or something. I don't know. But I've just really kind of found inner peace. I'm just going with the flow. It'll happen when it happens.
Well, so you're sitting there watching your waterfall that won't actually have moving water in it. I get you. Calm yourself down.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. That's even like some things that Upland will do, or something will happen where previously I'd just like throw my hands up in the air, and we see this a lot. There's a lot of rage quitting going on at the moment. Whether that's I think for some people, there's a lot of flow-on effects, like they've invested too much into crypto, and then that's tanking. They've put too much into Upland. They've invested way more than they're willing to lose. And we've talked a bit about this ad nauseum, Cheese and I, about the kind of, are you an investor in this thing? Are you a gamer? I'm definitely a gamer in this thing, so it is what it is. But people, they're all over the FUD machine, and you can look through general now, and if you scroll through, there'll be, I'm selling my account for USD. Hit me up, send me a DM. Everyone's freaking out about there's no USD sales. Well, it makes sense if the other markets are bleeding. Nobody's going to be pumping in new money. But I'm just like, man, just go with the flow. See what happens. One
thing, real quick, if I was ever to sell my account because I don't want to play anymore, there would be only 2 people that would know about it. Solly and Ben. I'm not going to announce that I'm getting out, because therefore I just totally cut in half my freaking buyer base. Stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard.
So dumb.
Pardon my language, but it's like, hey, I want to get out of this and sell this for a decent price because the game is shit. Do you want to buy? Whoa, you have an intriguing selling point there, sir. Fucking idiots, man.
Yeah, this game sucks. It just ruined my life. I mean, I had expectations.
Would you like it to ruin your life? Here, buy my shit.
Yeah. I thought these would be worth more than they are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. That's half of it, right? That's half of these people selling out. The other half of the people selling out are literally people who didn't put any value in the game. And again, people get sick of me shitting all over collection swappers. I'm not. But there's people who made a lot of their OpEx in collection swapping. That is no longer a tool anymore. Their gameplay is done. That was the only gameplay they wanted to do in the game because it was easiest to make the most OpEx the most quickly. And again, that's the way a lot of gameplay goes. People want to min-max. People want to get as much out for as little effort. So if that's the gameplay that the only gameplay they gave a shit about, now that gameplay is not there anymore, they want to get out. They bought their properties again with OpEx that they may not have put as much effort into getting as some other players did. So now when they go to fire sale, it doesn't hurt them to sell at 50 cents on the dollar. Now everybody who's trying to sell out is competing against that.
You still want to sell at 50 cents to the dollar. Like still want to kind of like, hey,
be like,
no,
this is a nice property. No, you look at this here. Look at this. This is nice property. Why don't you buy it from me? Yeah, exactly. You don't scream, this is shit. This game is shit.
Yeah.
Gotta get out of here.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. I'm like, wow, these people, like, and even people who don't want to sell out. Like, I understand you have FUD moments. You know, Ben and I have those all the time. I'm not going to talk about that in a public forum where I'm trying to promote my investment. You know,
you've said that to me plenty of times. Stop shitting on my fucking investment, dude.
Shut up, dude.
Absolutely.
The thing.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, everybody needs a vent. Everybody needs a whinge. You know, find someone that you can whinge to.
Well, for sure, and that's a great selling point for these private servers and these and your own community and your node work. You want to go there and be like, oh frig, I can't believe that the Upland has not made us, given us anything special. They haven't given us a collection. We've done all this work. You want to yell at those people, then go ahead and do it. But I mean, when you come out and say, oh, these neighborhood scores are never coming, this is bullshit. Well, now you kind of kick them in the balls. You know, you came to somebody who you're asking a favor of, you kick them in the balls and you ask for that favor. I mean,
exactly.
I think it makes it harder for the team to help people out. It really does.
And that's
when you
been
come at them with
happening a lot
hostility.
lately, hasn't it?
Yes.
Oh.
And there's levels to that as well. Like, I'll whine in the open general, Upland server or whatever, and that's to a certain level of decorum or whatever, and then that will change in the UDU server, in the open general UDU server chat. I'll have a whine there, and then we also have a background area where it's the core UDU members who have been there from the get-go. We've fought together through all of that, so the level of openness is more there, and then it goes to Cheese. Like, I'll get into Cheese ear and I'm pretty open and honest with her, and then after that I go outside and talk to the cockatoos.
When it gets real bad, real bad,
yeah,
that's all cuss words at that point. It's 90% Australian at that point.
Yes. So.
And he's like, well, Cheese told me this, and I'm not worried about it anymore as much, but it's still, there's still, and they're like, whoo, whoo.
Absolutely. So, no, you definitely have to have your outlets.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, we do see a lot of that going on. I mean, we've seen some of that. Let's be honest, crypto market's shit right now. Anybody who's been sitting there and holding on for a while, they're probably not feeling that good about anything. Maybe they lost half their holdings in 24 hours or 2/3 of their holdings in 24 hours. Upland may be tangential to that crypto, or it may be part of that overall strategy. So you do see some of that stress bleeding over in the game as well, lately. And the reaction is, it compounds, it really compounds. One person's stressed about something, they bring that stress into the game, they push that stress out into moderation or the team or whatever, and now the moderation of the team or whatever is having to push back on that's going on, and it all cascades downhill and snowballs. So it's a little bit of like, take a deep breath and take decorum, specifically right now.
It's when it gets to the point of personal attacks, whether it be open attacks or, I've had situations where it's played out in DMs. You're starting to get into threats, and at one point for me, it was almost touching on blackmail and this sort of stuff. So that's when it's like, come on, people, this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a game. There's something seriously amiss here if this is what's going on. And yeah, I think you're right, where it's a lot of background stress. I mean, Christ, I have some of the most worst days at work, and I know that I come into the UDU chat with a certain edge, but I'm not singling people out and just roasting them or belittling people, or
not all the time.
I don't know, Cheese, that gets your back up.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think one of the things we're starting to see, and we definitely should. It's been coming for a long time. We should be ready for it. Is we have that flow of where meta ventures come in, and where people are doing their own projects. We just see this hackathon. This hackathon is they're actually looking for developers, in theory, people who are already Uplanders and developing. So they're looking for people to, be entrepreneurial, build businesses, really be doing that.
$50,000 grant. That's
money.
Yeah.
You're talking about inviting people to get the type of game-changing investment from Upland to build a real business, a real world, full-time, start working towards having employees and everybody having salary and healthcare type business right now. They're pushing towards that. So I think that's some of that stress and that pressure is coming back into the cafe, into general, into other places where people are starting to say, what can I promote and what can't I? And I think that there is a little bit of stress that's coming through and bleeding through between moderation, whether the moderation is perfect on it or not, which I don't think moderation is ever perfect. You got humans doing the job and they're not getting paid for it. So expecting them to be perfect is tough, but we do want them to get to the point where everyone's being treated fairly and there's room at the discretion of the Upland red shirts, the actual community managers, the guys whose job it is to keep things going, are happy with the level of moderation and what's happening. Because there are things, there's things as simple as there's a rule that's been in the in the Discord that supersedes the cafe rules. It gets pressed upon the cafe, which is this idea of not doing display advertising. If you do it in general, it'll get pulled down. If you do it in BSTS Rutherford, and you're trying to get people to go to your group about penguins and NFTs or whatever, that's going to get pulled out of there. So we do see that that's been something for a while. Now we're having to revisit that as more and more people are encouraged to build Upland businesses. And where can we talk about those businesses? How do we talk about those businesses? And some of those rules that have existed for a while are being seen in a different light. And that's really getting pushed out on the system too. We're talking about where the growth in the player base and the bitch fest is coming from. That's one of them, is people want to be able to promote their businesses and grow their businesses and their projects. And it's just, you're starting to hit the shit is hitting that fan. And we have to right size our moderation for it. Whether the moderation is too strict or people need to come in line with the moderation. I honestly think that there's times in moderation, and again, this comes from, I literally have business ventures with Uplando. He's one of the biggest moderators in the game. I do think moderation in general, and not him necessarily, or him in specifics, but I think that we sometimes hit that wall where we feel like, can I even talk in the Upland official Discord, or am I going to be shouted down for it because I'm talking about my business, or Ben's talking about going to have his decor, or Cheese is talking about an art project she's working on.
Which are all free, by the way.
Which are all free, and believe it or not, easy enough. If you just follow the thing and do the thing, you can get a free NFT.
You could get a free NFT. Who would have thought?
Wow.
I think it's a catch-22 of having a supportive community. Like everybody, trumpets how open and awesome the general Upland community is, but that comes with its own set of challenges. If the community was ruthless like a lot of these other gaming ones, well, you wouldn't have people, putting their say out there, putting their 2 cents in, because they'd just get eaten and roasted alive. I don't know how to word it. It's a victim of its own success almost.
Yeah, I get that, definitely. Like it's bittersweet, because like the feedback is allowed to come in whether we like it or not.
Oh, yeah, and 100%. This was the coolest thing. And again, I called you in on it, and towards the end, I didn't call you in early, Cheese, but we had X1 in the other night, essentially saying, no, we're not telling moderation to significantly change the policies that they've had in the past. This was in response to moderation wanting to significantly change the policies that they had in the past. And they're like, no, that's not coming from us. No. we've been more or less happy with what's been going on. You know, obviously the moderation needs to feel that they're supported by the team, but at the same time, if the team's saying don't heavily moderate any more than we have in the past, then let's not heavily moderate more than we have in the past.
To be honest, that's what I thought. See, when Uplander was pushing to get people to become moderators, just so that they can be a yellow name in the cafe chat, that's kind of making sure nobody's putting anybody down or yelling at each other. I thought that was all it was.
Yeah.
Or if somebody was to go on a little bit too much about their project, they would say, all right, come on, let's get it back here. You've said as much as you need to. Because I remember everybody was able to really talk about what they were doing and what was going on for a few minutes at least, as long as it was Upland related. And I think it kind of did get to a point where there was a little too much, I'm going to ban you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ban you.
Well, yeah. You talk like that, like you ban you. You gone. Yeah, exactly. No, and again, it does become a little adversarial when that's one of the first things you hear when you open your mouth.
Exactly.
At the same time, there are some people who jump in the cafe for 10 minutes every 4 days. And those 10 minutes, they want to talk about what they want to talk about.
Exactly. And nobody says, hey, you have 1 minute to do this. They just let it go on. I feel like that was a big, I feel both sides. I love the moderators. I love that they became moderators. It's a thankless job. But I think they took it to a level that they didn't need to. At the same time, a little favoritism was being shown. Some people were able to say things others couldn't. Some people were able to go on longer than others couldn't. I think people should be able to talk about their projects, but not go on for like 10 minutes. Like if hey, I have a quick 60 things, something to say, you like it, DM me, and that's it. And then they go back to,
unless that leads to follow-up conversations and questions and all that sort of stuff. But if it's just you
DM.
Blabbing your mouth or whatever. And not everyone's cut out to be a moderator. It's a very difficult job. I know I could never do it because I have too much in real life stress that I couldn't shake off. And, you know, you have to be able to turn a tap off almost, you know?
Yeah, it's stressful.
An emotional tap.
It's also like customer service. You have to be nice.
Oh yeah,
and
even
I
if your
nice.
entire world is falling apart.
Exactly.
They dump the cheese fondue in your lap, and you can't swear at them. You know, that's kind of be like food service. You know,
I can't call anyone greasy. I can't swear.
You can't be like, oh, you're greasy. You're a greasy.
I did that
bastard.
for Ben. I did that for Ben to see him laugh.
The greasy thing. Yeah, you can't call someone greasy and then try to do business with them.
Oh, I love that so much. I was playing that on repeat. I clipped it and I sent it to Cheese. She's like, are you ever going to get tired of this? I'm like,
no, I love that. Yeah. You can't call someone greasy and then turn around and do business with them. Yes. But yeah, the point of the moderation is exactly that, is that it's to moderate. It is, when we say moderate, to bring towards the middle. It's the whole point of moderator. So again, that's not saying that anyone's doing a bad job of moderating. It's just something that is like, that's become the contention point, right? Is that we want to feel that moderation is not pushing conversation one way or the other, that it's helping to support conversation and the openness for people to talk about things. The one thing I would say about the commercialization is, you should not be able to think that because you have a business, you can have a new player asking how to get from Nashville to Manhattan, and you get to cut them off to come and talk about your project. That's when it gets to be a much. And if you're coming to the cafe for 10 minutes just to talk about your project, you better wait till it's your turn, as opposed to shoving people around. Yeah, better. Yeah, better. Hey, listen, hey guys, I only got 5 minutes, so let me tell you all about this thing I'm trying to sell.
Yeah.
I agree. I definitely agree. But it's good to have conversations like this. I think a lot of people, what it is, just want to kind of have their side heard. And I kind of feel like even if there isn't a complete resolution or or like a compromise where somebody's feeling slightly slighted, as long as they kind of get it out of their system and speak their piece and are heard. I know I feel better when I'm able to say what I want to say, even if there's no resolution. Ben knows me. If something's bothering me and I say it, I'm fine 5 minutes later. I just want to get it out, sort of thing. And I think it's important to kind of let people say,
well, 5 to 10 minutes.
You get 10 minutes, Cheese. You get 10
oh,
minutes.
Oh, no, not advertising. I mean, they're
No. I'm sorry. No. I'm saying I give you 10 minutes to vent your shit, to be like, I'm pissed, I'm mad. You get 10 minutes. You get 10 minutes of swears about somebody, and then you take a deep breath and be like, oh, I'm better.
Ben's the only one I abuse on that aspect. I'm like, Ben, I gotta talk about someone. And then I'm like, all right, I actually do really like them, but I just have to get that out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I'll ask you, because I know this is your show, but did you want to do that 5-minute rundown on cars? Because that was some big stuff. I don't know if that's been out there enough that people have heard it already.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, for sure. And then, like I said, Cheese was invited to come. She just didn't show up. But so the big four takeaways. And I've talked to Dak about trying to put this out in, like, just clear, plain as day, a 1-page article. These are the facts. But the 4 facts that are key is this is from a team member named Jeremy. He like I said, the head of development on cars. I don't know if he's the project manager head or a project head, or how they use that title for him, but he's the
you have
honcho.
Share screen if you need to share screen.
I got nothing. This is all verbal, unfortunately. So oh my gosh, so it's all up in the head. But the 4 big things were, we are getting cars Genesis week. They're coming for Genesis week. The 8th of June is when we were told that we are going to have that reservation period, just like we reserve our spot for a terminal. Then on the 9th is going to be the sale. So if you're lucky enough to have a good spot and you have the UPEX in your pocket, because again, first sales mean UPEX
or USD.
UPEX. That was plain as day, and we were like, ooh. So UPEX in your pocket, you are going to have that chance to buy that car. And again, this is counter to what we've been told in the past. So I'm going to take a deep breath and a grain of salt, and maybe they'll only give us a 2, because we were told before you're only getting the Sport and the sedan. We were told 6. So we're told we're going to get them right up front of the 6. I'm like, I don't think we need that if we're only going to have a racetrack. But supposedly we're going to have all 6. We're going to see manufacturing start happening, like the real manufacturing, no bull crap like those Christmas ornaments were like, yeah, we'll hold on to your UPEX for about 30 seconds for a snapshot, and then we'll say that's good enough. That was a bit crazy. And that's where the Spark exchanges come from, because they couldn't deliver on that promise that we thought we were going to have 6 months ago. But they'll be doing supposedly real construction, which is that gateway to Decor being able to do the real construction. So that's a very powerful thing. If it's actually happening, that analog construction in the back end, we'll start seeing those cars pop up on the property that's across the way from the Santa Clara manufacturing plants for the Metaverse Motors. And we're going to start seeing those cars pop up out front. And that's going to be happening over the next month. The first instance in use of cars is obviously going to be racing, as we've been told before. The first instance of racing is going to be on a track that they're going to set. They suggested, but not guaranteed, they suggested that track will be in San Jose, like mentioned. And that will be ready Genesis week. Driving one car against, essentially your car against itself. Their stretch goal, which means they may or may not get there, but their stretch goal is to have a ghost car or a AI car driving against you. In that first instance, and that's going to be essentially a month away. We're talking Genesis week ends the 11th, so that's a month away. We could be seeing that happen.
Wait a second. Yeah. You're saying that this is going to happen on Genesis week. So does that mean it's a possibility that San Jose is the place
that's what he's saying?
Wow, listen to these gears go. Click.
That's what he's saying.
I'm not saying it is, but it's very interesting that Santa Clara and San Jose are right next to each other. It's very
and
interesting.
Meta Motors and
It's very interesting that Meta Motors was in Santa Clara. It's very interesting that San Jose is not yet minted, and it's extremely interesting that they use the word San Jose. So maybe we're not getting as big a city as we thought we were, but we could get the Sharks. Go Sharks!
Hey, I'm for it.
Let's go hockey.
What's your speculation on pricing of these things? What do you think we're talking about?
I got slapped. I got slapped in the face when I started saying $1 million for the race up front. Anywhere between. Actually, what I said was anywhere between $500,000 and $1 million for the race car. Race version up front. The first set, they said they may be cheaper later. They're going to be expensive up front. And I had people about ready to slap me in the face for saying that. And then a month and a half later, the same people who want to slap me in the face are saying, yeah, I think these things are going to be expensive, about $1 million UPEX. And it's like, yeah, vindication. But I mean, I think if we get 6 models, the interesting thing is if we actually get 6 models at once, we could see some differentiation on pricing. And if that's the case, we might have that 300,000 UPEX car or a 250,000 UPEX car to start out with. And when people say, I want a affordable car, they might get one. I don't think that it's reasonable to think they're going to do under 100,000 UPEX. Let's be honest. Do you know how much a freaking
cheap?
100,000 is ridiculous. A Memento's 80,000 UPEX.
Yeah,
and these are the first generation car NFTs. Which
why?
So sell that.
So I can't expect that 100K. That's what people want it to be. But like I said, if there was a 300,000 UPEX minivan, and then the race car is $1 million, I think that's going to be a range that is definitely justifiable.
Yeah,
I've got 1 million squared away.
Yeah.
If the race car is 1.2, 1.3, I may take a bite. But if it's like 1.5, 1.8, I'm just going to go with whatever the next one is.
I think you should still do it, Ben. If you have it, I think you should do it.
I'm going to make the $1 million. I mean, it's a month. Yeah. It's a month. And I'm going to make that $1 million between now and then. And the cool thing about this, the real blow your mind thing about this is if this happens the 9th and city releases the 10th, if I don't get my car, that money all goes to the city release. If I get my car, forget the city release. I just got a car.
Yeah, I really don't care about the city release, to be honest. I want either Boston or international.
Yeah.
It depends on the city. And like you said, we've still got another month. So I've still got a month of stacking and sales. Yeah. So maybe I can increase my budget to 2, maybe at a stretch.
I mean,
that car. Like at least one person in the UDU needs to have that car. I'm sure.
Did you just say you're going to loan me some UPEX? That's what I just heard.
If it comes to that, I don't think you need a loan, to be honest.
Yeah, imagine me asking for a loan.
Well, Ben, 60K a day times 30 days. I mean, you're headed your way that way. Yeah. I mean, what's
doable stuff you're selling.
I just don't want to get back into just overstretching and chasing things that are out of reach.
But you make $1 million UPEX, over $1 million UPEX a month in dividends. So I mean, you just essentially just stack for a month and you're there.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem.
I suppose it depends if the million UPEX prize goes off on the UDU podcast.
It's going to, and it's going to be.
It's definitely going to.
We've had that conversation. I'm getting your money.
If you want to be a sponsor, if you want to sponsor,
if you like to sponsor the $1 million UPEX prize,
we don't take any of that money. It goes all to the wheel. Just to let you know, poor Ben.
shoot a DM over to BEN68 if you would like. If you would like to learn more about the potentials to sponsor the wheel spin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice if somebody hit that right before the car. I mean, that would be a good story. It's your UPEX, but that would be a good story if somebody went ahead and bought a car with it.
Yeah, I think Ben and I are putting our money where our mouth is, to be fair. Like, all right, so I'm going to freaking Vegas. I bought a bunch of these really nice Moo business cards to give out. I got shirts saying our name brand, pins. I want to see if I give some stuff out. He's putting up like $1 million freaking UPEX, $1,000. I think, I'm just putting this out there that we're pretty hard workers when it comes to
Goldie probably doesn't know our motto. He wouldn't know that.
Oh yeah, say it, Ben. Ben came up with it. Ben needs a dictionary. Benisms. The Benisms of the metaverse.
Yeah. So the new unofficial UDU motto, and that bleeds over to the wine and cheese and all the rest of it, is we don't kiss butts, we don't give fucks, we just work.
We just work.
like that.
Yes.
It's true. 100% true.
That's the way it's done. Yeah, the kiss butt things, you do see that where these organizations do well in Upland because they grease not grease, there's no money changing hands, but where they talk to the right person the right way.
They put the right chapstick on.
We're not going to shit all over them, but we could.
Each to their own. Whatever works for you, go for it. But we just put our heads down and work. Was there anything else to touch on with cars? Did you hit all those 4
I think we hit the points pretty well. I mean, knowing that San Jose that is easy to leap off onto, Cheese, that's a big one. I think that's a big old flag to look out for. We don't know exactly what the prices are, but we do know OPEX, which is huge. And we do know that ultimately that first car is going to be given away that week. We know there's a Genesis contest and they told us all that's going to happen that week. But other people are going to have cars that week and in theory, be able to race them by the end of the week. So very, very huge news.
Do you think, one last thing before we kind of wrap this up, do you think they're gonna?
I've still got to pick his brain. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that they're gonna mention STEM in the Genesis week?
Good question.
Yeah. Here's the cool thing. This is not anyone's words out of anyone's mouth. This is what is on paper, or what they wrote in that article. Is when they just gave us, and I don't know if you guys have looked over it or gone over it formally with people, but when they gave us that itinerary, because they just gave us the itinerary yesterday of saying this is going to happen in this time, that time, and there's an AMA, and at the same time as that AMA, there is a new roadmap, update on a roadmap. I think that if they're going to do an update on a roadmap, there's going to be at least one major factor they put on that roadmap. I'm not saying that it's STEM. I'm not saying it's in home utility, but there's something that we have not seen on that roadmap that they're either going to pull way up from way in the future and say, next quarter, we're going to have blank, or there's going to be something we had no clue about. And they're going to be like, you're all going to have horses in 6 months. What? And
but wait a second. Do you remember the last conversation? It was Edan and Dirk and some other guy. I don't know who he was. And Edan was like saying, oh, you're going to see STEM sooner than later. And then he looks at Dirk and Dirk is like,
Dirk
dude, shut up.
He gave him the side eye. He was like, what do you think
the
you're
side
doing?
eye.
Yeah. That was intense.
That was awesome. That was so awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna leave myself on that note and give it to Ben.
Yeah. No, yeah. Adon gets really excited. So if you can get Adon alone and get him talking about a project, he's going to tell you more than he should.
I think we've covered a lot of stuff, about what you're involved with now and kind of your thoughts on things. But I'd be interested to learn more about you and where you see yourself headed, and what your long-term projects are. Like, what do you think you're going to be doing in a year, 5 years, or what's your motivations in the space? I guess like Cheese is she's more kind of leaning towards investment side, where I'm very much more kind of gamery. This is the reason why I do all this stuff. What are you all about, and where do you see this all heading for yourself personally?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in business before I was in business, right? Because I've had this idea that I wanted to be in Metaventures way back when we had those applications. And I think I just came in at the tail end of those, when those applications were like closing up, and I was, they were telling us that we need to have 1,000 USD, and I'm still sitting on the toilet taking a shit playing the game. And they're telling me I need to put $1,000 away to have this thing. I'm like, that's not happening. So I was interested way back when. I just wasn't at the position to set aside $1 million UPEX to have a business. I am now. Definitely in a different position than I was a year ago. But from day one, I was thinking that, yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. But I've had that my mindset on business from day one, and then obviously Uplando taps me on the shoulder and says, can we work, on the business side of running this up of the block explorer store, making sure that when people do things that we keep track of it in a good way, people get paid properly, paid promptly, and they know what's going on. They have a contact if they have questions and concerns and all of that. And that's what I've been doing for Uplando, for his block explorer store for the last several months. But for me, the future is in, having my own shop and getting custom content, working with custom content creators. This is ultimately a game. It's always going to be a game for me, but I'm moving into a world where people can make money off games. And I think we all are. So yep. Do I think that at some point people's full-time jobs are going to be metaverses like Upland, and they still look at it as a game, but they're also putting their kids through college on it? 100%. I think that's coming sooner rather than later. Maybe not next year, but I'm getting ready for that to be the case in 3 or 4 years, that may be my case.
Cool. I know you heard me mention something regarding a show with you and a certain someone.
A certain someone, yeah.
I think I love the both of you. I think you both have great, chemistry together, the same like with Ben and I. I would love to see you guys do a show together. Like your own thing. And
we talk about how I'm in the Uplando show and everything there, and the not necessarily the expiration of the cafe, but the idea that we will have cafes in the game someday. So where does media go from there? Are we still going to have an Uplando show in the cafe, or any type of show in the cafe?
Well, we'll always have an Uplando show.
You think so?
I think so. Depending where it'll be, be whatever, but we'll always have an Uplando show.
Okay.
But I mean, you don't have to just, like Ben and I, we do multiple stuff. Like you could do Uplando show, you could do the fancy Goldsmith show, you could do just the Goldsmith show.
Oh, is that the somebody you're referring to? Okay.
Yes. Oh, Fancy's amazing. I love her.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think having more of a room in the media space, I think that's something that I like. And again, we have this, we keep having this because I've been in the cafe a lot. I'm not always in the position where I can jump in and break up a fight. But if I am in that position, I always will. But I could be in there with my mic muted, and that means my ears are on, but I really can't get that mic to unmute. So I don't ever want to really be a hard line moderator. But I believe in that role of bringing information to people that is unbiased and maybe sometimes very biased. Because let's be honest, speculation is a huge part of the game. You just have to say not financial advice afterwards, and you're free and clear. But yeah, I mean, I really like that idea of having that media presence. And maybe there is monetization for that. Maybe there isn't long term. I mean, Cheese don't care. Cheese is putting out some of the best art in the community, and she's not making a dime off it. Actually, if you guys want to buy it,
making money off of it. Definitely.
Well, I was just going to say.
I mean, people have a window.
Yeah.
Once that window closes, then it goes on the market. But like, basically, technically, it's free. If you don't take that opportunity to get it for free, that's on you.
The big difference between what we do and yourself with your NFTs and a lot of other people that we know is the underlying motivation. Our underlying motivation is not financial. It's Cheese and I, we do all this stuff because it's entertaining to us. As soon as that stopped becoming fun, then we're not going to do it anymore.
Sure.
We're not looking at numbers and panicking about numbers.
Yeah.
That's because that's not what we're about.
And you're not changing your content. You're not going to change your content to make a higher revenue. Period.
Yeah.
No.
Which is huge. And that's what I was saying. Like, maybe there's monetization, maybe there's not for people who want to be in the media. I'm not sure that's my bag either. But I like that idea of there's a lot of voices, a lot of information to put out there. I like to think that I have one of those, one of those abilities, one of those voices, some of that information to put out there that people want to hear. I like to think of it, whether that's true or not.
I think so. Ben thinks so.
Let the world.
It's definitely one of my favorite segments when I hear the helicopters whirring in.
Well, that game is called Cat and Mouse. What's up? I'm going to ask. How am I going to answer it? But no, it's always good. It's always fun because I think we get some of the best information out in the shortest amount of time on a daily basis that is in the community, because there's not that much daily that you're going to get 6 hours worth of cafe, bullshit in a 30 now let's call it what it is, 7-8 minute segment, where you're going to get literally 6 or 7 hours worth of condensed information. You titrate down the best and the most important bits and pieces of that and that down into 7 minutes. You're not getting that anywhere else. I don't think there's anywhere else is that happening. So whether or not the Upland show should be 2.5 hours a night, some people can argue that fact. But I think we got a good 7 minutes there. I'd love to do that. And you mentioned Fancy specifically, and obviously I can say that out loud, is that that is the one person that I'd really want to do something like that with. People are crazy busy. Since you brought up Fancy, she's one of those people who's crazy busy.
Ben is crazy busy, like
cockadoos. He's got like kindergartners to deal with.
I get up at 3 a.m. to do all this stuff.
Yeah,
I know. You squeeze it in. But no, I'd love to hear that show. That'd be awesome. And Cheese and I, while you jumped out before we got recording, we came up with a way to get around your face reveal stuff. Green Man from It's Always Something in, what is it? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's the one. It's always something in Philadelphia.
No, there's always something.
We'll get you decked out in a gold suit, so you'll be the gold man, and we'll print out a black sheet of paper with the Thegoldsmith written on it, and we'll punch some eye holes in the O and the D, and you're good to go. And
I'll definitely have your sandwich somewhere in there. I'll have to think about it.
Maybe a sandwich loincloth. There you go.
Have you seen D-Tech's work for the Uplando show? He's got this, he like puts a helmet on me and I got carrying my sandwich around. And it's really, really good. And D-Tech's one of those, like I talk about, I want to be in the art space from the, again, I do physical art, like literally, carve on block and print and ink and transfer from table, exactly, from linoleum prints. I put that work in, but I mean, the digital art, Blender is not my thing. It's something I look at potentially working, but I like the idea of working with artists who already have those skills. What you're doing in decor, I'm thinking blueprint shops. That's what I'm thinking. I would love to see, to see custom buildings. And D-Tech's one of those people who I'd love to work with. I think
D-Tech's ours.
No. I've got some private DMs that say different. I think they said that when there's decor stores, exclusivity. That's what I heard. But no, it's like working with people who are really, really talented is something that I really like the idea of.
Yeah, and that came back to my whole decor shop business. Like I could very easily outsource all the Blender stuff to overseas, do it on Fiverr sort of thing. But that's not what I want to do. I want to work with people. I want to make it more intimate and that sort of thing. Because that's where the fun is.
For sure. I mean, I realistically, if I'm doing a blueprint shop, every single copy that gets sold, that artist is getting a percentage of it. That's the beauty of it, right? It's like, I'm not paying this guy $50 and I'm taking a gamble that I'm going to be able to sell 500 of these. No.
Yeah.
If I sell 1,000 of these things as opposed to 500, that guy better be making more money on the 1,000 than the 500.
Yeah, it goes back to the underlying motivations, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's we're a community, and the second we stop being a community, we stop being a metaverse. And ultimately, we're not a property trading game. I mean, we are right now, but ultimately, the game's not going to be just a property trading game. It's supposed to be a metaverse, and if we want to head in that direction, we better start that course now.
Absolutely. All right, I think I'm good to go, Cheese. Was there anything else you wanted to follow up on, or Goldie? Anything else you wanted to get out there?
What do you want, Cheese? What else do you want from me?
I'm good. I think you were great, amazing. I love talking to you. This was fun. This felt like we were just hanging out. I definitely love to have you on, like sometime in the future, maybe to talk about the new show you and Fancy have going.
Nudge.
Not
to push on that any more than I'm already pushing on that.
I feel like we need more. Like we need more, just more people out there doing it. It can't, like, I don't think it should be just the same old people. Even like just Ben and I along with that. Like I want to see more people. I want to see more of the people I know, like, like doing their thing, even if it's just talking about the metaverse. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. Like, what, like we do, like, just like I want to see more nodes, but more serious nodes, know?
Yeah. I mean, as opposed to I have a YouTube channel. Check this out. I'm going to sell out before it's worth anything, but good luck. Buy in. Yeah. That's a problem for sure. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, Cheese. And again, I kind of thread that needle a little bit. I feel like I've got a very loud voice in the community. I already am saying a lot. That's why when we talk about, why don't you do a show? And it's like, don't I already say a lot already and take a lot of the air out of the room?
I mean,
yes and no. I'm a voracious consumer of anything Upland related that I can get, any content that's not. So many of these channels that I've listened to previously, they just turn into FUD fests. So you don't even bother.
Or some of them
self-promotion sort of stuff.
Or some of these sites are like, yeah, you're looking at the data, but are you actually playing the game? Because it's like, wait a minute. If you're gonna tell the community, this is not specific to anybody.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna say it. Can I say it, Cheese?
Yes. Yes.
If you're asked by somebody in an interview, hey, what are you gonna give a new player for advice? How do they go from today? Where are they gonna make some ROI, some serious ROI? And you use the word San Francisco, you should lose any credentials at being a voice of reason in the community.
100.
I mean, San Francisco is not where a new player goes to make a profit right now. Unless they're buying the dippy dip, they're not going to San Francisco to make a profit.
I mean, even then, go ahead.
I was just going to say, wasn't there an angle to that about coming in big? Wasn't that part of it? That's the only way that I could see.
No,
like if you wanted to come in big, maybe.
I think it was I think the honest question wasn't answered. That's what I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was literally a new player. Hey, I'm relatively new. I know you've got a big name in the game. Could you tell me how I can get some good ROI? San Francisco is not where you get ROI right now, unless you're a pro, and you're going to be like, and when I say pro, obviously not a pro level status, but a pro, somebody who knows what they're doing. And somebody underprices something in San Francisco, you scoop it up because it's in the right neighborhood and they happen to price the right neighborhood at city floor. Yeah, I'm going to eat those up all day long. I'm going to make a 2x on it because you didn't look at what neighborhood you were selling it.
Yeah. And I guess it's different too. If you're a new player who was looking to come in big and had a long-term mindset, that maybe, but even then there's still better options. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like if you're suggesting to a new player to go buy in a price where they don't even get dividends equal to 14.6% when they can buy under mint and then get dividends of 22%, or mint where they feel comfortable and confident, because let's be honest, even though the stuff that's available for mint today means that thousands of other people had the opportunity to mint it and chose not to, doesn't mean it's not going to be special in 6 months.
Yeah. Or if you're US based too, like the arbitrage opportunity that you have to buy USD and sell for UPX is massive. So
huge. That's why I say if you can buy it at 80% on the dollar or 70% on the dollar, now you're making dividends that are pretty impressive, 20-25%. And those are going to come up. And you know what? If I wanted to go buy at 80% of the dollar and sell at mint in UPX, there's a bunch of markets that I personally, again, a little bit of experience, know I could do that as of today. And that's an arbitrage just to get some UPX out. But if I hold that, take the dividend, in 6 months, that's going to be worth 2x on mint in UPX. Now I made 2.5x in 6 months. I don't see San Francisco at floor being up 2.5 months, 2.5x in a couple months.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I know from conversations I've had and DMs I've received from people that are new in the space, there's the kind of gap between those that are talking about the game and the community, who are actively engaged in the game and the community, and those who are talking about it and who are disconnected is becoming wider and wider and wider. And that's becoming more obvious to new people in the space as well. So.
And it's different gameplay too. You know, if you're going to log in 3 times a week and you're stacking your dividends, good for you. But that's a very different gameplay than a new player coming in today and what they're actually seeing in the market.
Yep. Cool.
Great. That was an awesome thing to leave us off on.
yeah, complaining about somebody else. Oh God.
We don't know who it is.
No. It's not. No, not specific to anybody. Just a random ass example. Yeah. It's just a random ass example.
Yeah.
Well, just know that if you do kick off the Goldie and Fancy show, that there would always be a home in the Friends of the MBE for you guys to promote your stuff and whatnot. Yes. And we'll be on whenever we can.
Love and appreciate it.
I think that's good. I think we're good. Should I?
You know what to say.
Get the hell out of here. We're done.
Go ahead, get your pinky up. Talk wine and cheese, motherfucker. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Talk wine and cheese, motherfucker. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Go ahead, get your pinky up. Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Cheese in the house, get off the drive. Hit you with the hairbrush, hit you with the knife. Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Hit you with the knife, flying through the sky. Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Cheese in the house, get off the drive. Hit you with the hairbrush, hit you with the knife. Eagle Empire, samurai, riding on the dingo, flying through the sky. Hit you with the knife, flying through the sky.